Hey guys, welcome back to the Outriders podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. Each week we take something from pop culture and try to break it down to better understand it. My name is David.
My name is Ben.
Really struggled saying pop culture just then. I got all the P's and C's and
Pop culture.
kind of got in my mouth a bit.
Your mouth just sealed shut on the P's.
Yeah, it's my wicked hangovers. I've still got a bit of dry mouth happening, so it's kind of like...
Yeah, David's wicked hangover after having two beers last night.
Because I didn't eat food yesterday.
Wicked. Hardcore, dude.
It was very, sad. I think that the verb I'd use is it was embarrassing how hungover I was this morning.
That's the kind of thing where if you worked in an Australian workplace and you told anyone, you would just get hung out for that. You would get hung on the line.
I'm sure I'm gonna get some shit from it.
Absolutely.
Shit for that from our audience probably. But so this week is kind of an interesting one because it's your topic, but we both want to chime in on the same side.
Yeah.
I think.
I struggled with this because all my opinions are about video games because I'm just not cultured in the slightest.
All I've been doing is playing video games the last few weeks. So
yeah.
In my episode, when I was doing my episode, I was like, I want to do another video game.
It was either this or I was going to talk about Shrek for half an hour, but the prospect of rewatching Shrek just really wasn't. I wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, you probably were too sober for that. I think as an adult, Shrek is great, but man, you have to either be stoned or drunk because it is a tough watch.
Yeah, and I would have had to watch both of them. We may come back to Shrek.
We might do a Patreon only Shrek.
We might watch all of the Shrek films we did the Marvel films, and we'll rank them.
That's such a good idea. That might be our next journey.
The road to Shrek 5 because they're doing a Shrek 5.
Are they?
They're doing a Shrek 5.
Wait, do we have to watch do we have to also watch all the Puss in Boots stuff? Because that's okay.
Oh yeah, that's the SCU,
Shit.
the Shrek cinematic universe.
But that being said, because opinions about Shrek weren't something that we wanted to dive into, this week we're talking about the defense of Rick and Morty.
Well, I'm talking about the defense of Rick and Morty.
Last time I let you do the intro, you totally goofed it up big time.
Right,
you took a big dookie on the structure of the show.
Taking the reins back.
Yeah, I was like, I trusted it to you. I let you go. You were a kid. I put you on the tricycle. You
and
fell
I just
off
fucking fell off immediately.
You fucking broke your collarbone.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's a helmet. Here's a helmet.
My goddamn idiot child.
Dipshit. Now you can't ride the bike for 3 months because you broke your fucking collarbone. So you kind of proposed this in an interesting way, which I am excited to get into. So why don't you talk us through what your thought process was?
So I fucking hate this show. I hate Rick and Morty so much, but I feel like it needs to be defended.
Okay.
And that's the starting point. Because
so why do you hate it? Let's start at the start and
so let's start at the very start. So Rick and Morty season 1 came out. I started watching it halfway through.
Yeah.
I think towards the end of it I started watching, and it's
did you fuck with it? What did you think?
I mean, I watched it when it came out on YouTube via some guy that was just ripping it.
Yeah, that's a thing that is big in the Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I think I binged all of it through some weird rip where the video itself was being framed by a fake cinema image to break through
the copyright.
YouTube's copyright, which I thought was hilarious. So I watched that, and I think I mostly binged season 1 before, after it finished, or I think just around when it finished. And I was like, okay, that was fine. I was unemployed, I had nothing going on in my life.
Gotta keep some Rick.
This would have been 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, you would have probably represented the fan base quite well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was a uni student,
you played a lot of video
unemployed,
games.
A lot of video games. It's self-entitled, thought I was a sort of,
I've always said that about
failing all my classes, but think I'm smart.
Rick and Morty. When was the season? When did the first season come out? I'm gonna give it a quick.
I want to say 3 years ago.
I'm trying to work out if we started this show before. We definitely started the show before.
We started the show way before. We've been doing this for too long. We started the show a bit before.
Okay,
but
give it a goose.
It was. Going. I went back through all of our episodes, and Rick and Morty season 1 is in there.
Okay, cool.
So it definitely happened when we were starting this.
Yeah.
And so season 1 was all right, it's sort of interesting show, and it didn't really did it end with a cliffhanger? I don't remember. I think it did.
Season
vaguely.
1 ends with that's when Rick goes to galactic prison, isn't it?
No, that's season 2. That's season 2.
Oh no, season 1 ends when they've frozen time.
Yeah,
and they have and season 2 opens with them unfreezing time.
Yeah, and season 2 ends with
Rick
him going to prison,
galactic prison. Yeah,
and then season 3 ends with him leaving or the Beth thing. I don't know. Anyway, who gives a shit? It's a garbage show.
Who remembers?
So
yeah, 2013 actually. Fuck, this shit's been around for ages.
Oh, 5 years ago. Jesus Christ! Maybe there was a bigger gap between some seasons.
I think we started this podcast about around
2014.
No, we started this 2013, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, we started the show just before the Rick and Morty came out.
So season 1 was like, all right, I binged it out. It was just like one of those things. It didn't like hit me in the same way that like BoJack Horseman did.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like I attached to that. But like Rick and Morty was just like, it was like whatever. But like I was the target audience.
Yeah, I think certainly in those early days there was a tendency for the show, especially because like no one had really done anything like it before. Like it was kind of like Futurama, but kind of, I don't know, like it's so Dan Harmon, that show. Like it oozes every ounce of his like writing person. Like you compare Rick and Morty to Community season 1, and like the overlap of themes is like it's all about control. Like the whole everything he writes seems to be about control.
Right.
And to me, it's interesting. Like season 3 of the show kind of explores control, but it looks at like the addictiveness of Rick. So it's interesting that when that came out, the target was like, or the target market it found was like nerds who don't have jobs.
Yeah.
If you think about like the themes of the show are about like people who aren't in control. It's just interesting kind of who it attracted.
Yeah. And season 2, I think I watched season 2 fairly like, not religiously, but season 2 was when it started getting big.
Yeah, season 2 was when it was huge on Reddit.
And it got to the point where like I would go onto Facebook and there would be, Facebook would have sent me like one of like another like rip of the show, but like not skirting any copyright because it's Facebook. In Facebook videos that someone had uploaded and like one of my friends had commented or something. Yeah. Or like it was just, you probably want to see this.
Yeah, and you went, I do, thank you.
And it was like, I do. So like every Wednesday, I think, I would watch Rick and Morty.
I think we both did that for a while because it just came up on Facebook. It just came up.
Yeah. And that's probably the reason why Rick and Morty did really well. I feel like Facebook was half of their
it's
advertising.
Like Reddit plus Facebook.
Yeah.
And it created like that
because it's like, we don't have Adult Swim here. Like, I don't even know how to legally get Adult Swim.
It's part of...
It's probably on Foxtel, but like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, I've never had Foxtel.
I actually think they've... Well, Rick and Morty's on Netflix. That's the only place
it is on Netflix now. Yeah.
In Australia. That's really weird.
It's always after the season.
Well, season 3 was a week after, which was pretty good. Because they really pushed for that.
Yeah, they did it like
because they kept getting stolen. They really pushed to have that happen, which is smart.
So, yeah, I think I rewatched Rick and Morty on Netflix. Because
I've
to not have the weird border.
Yeah.
And so season 2 was like the point where, that was where the show got really big. And at that stage, it was big, but it was like a healthy big. It was like a healthy growing baby boy.
It was in the good spot. Yeah.
It was like it was sort of pre-teenage years. Yeah,
this
is a weird analogy.
It wasn't like I don't know. And then it started masturbate. I don't know where you're going with this, but like
let's just break away from the analogy.
I don't think you understand what metaphors are, Ben, because you started one before we started recording that made no fucking sense whatsoever, and I didn't call you on it. But my hot take is Ben doesn't quite understand analogies. No, I think you're right. Like, it was in a good place where it was just complex enough that when you watched it, you felt smart for understanding what was happening.
But not in like a.
But not. I
think more of like a referential like bloody like Big Bang Theory kind of way.
No,
rather than Futurama. Like if you have Futurama on one side where it's like jokes that if you're smart you'll understand. And then Big Bang Theory, where it's like jokes that
make fun of being smart.
Make fun of being smart, and everyone understands because the smartness isn't like the cleverness isn't the joke. It's just the fact that they're saying things that sound clever is the joke.
Yeah. Or they say something smart, and the reason it's funny is because that's something a smart person would say.
Yeah, not because of the smart thing they say.
Because they think nerds are idiots. That whole show is just they think nerds.
And like Rick and Morty is like it's like in the middle, right?
Rick and Morty's
like
dead. It's
like dead center.
It's interesting because it does both.
Because it's got like all of the smart stuff is very much like a layer down. Like it's not like directly dialogue that's being said or like directly something that's shown on screen. Yeah, it's like it's layers beneath where it's like it's more like philosophy and like all this other garbage.
Because you can so a good example, a good touch point that I think from season 3. I didn't want to like jump the gun. I know you're going chronologically, but season 3's biggest problem I think is the show is so popular now that people are only reacting, or the people who have the loudest voice are the ones reacting to the surface level stuff.
Right.
So a good example is like that episode of Pickle Rick.
I mean,
let
Let's just preface this episode by saying yes, we are acknowledging Pickle Rick in this episode.
Well, I want to explain Pickle Rick, and then
Don't explain Pickle Rick.
No, but like,
it doesn't need explaining. It's dumb.
But it's not though. Like here's the thing. It's not. It's dumb in the sense that like it's a spectacle and like they almost weren't gonna do it because Dan Harmon was like, this is like too silly.
This is really...
But like if you watch that episode and you're actually like paying attention, it's about like alcoholism.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
he's literally pickled. Like it's not. But then there's layers to it that are kind of interesting with the way it plays out. And the show ostensibly is trying to say like be a Jerry. Like Jerry's alright. Like if you can't be a Jerry, Jerry's make the world go round. At least he participates in the illusion. Rick is the fucking worst. But everyone misinterprets
like,
it. The
fuck, don't
the
be
surface
a
level
Jerry.
stuff. They're like, Rick's awesome and I'm also smart, so that means smart people are assholes.
The show literally says, there are lines that Rick says where he's like, don't be a Jerry. Like, because there are multiple Jerrys in the sort of ethos.
Yeah.
Like, there is literal dialogue where it's like, don't be a Jerry. But the show is like, nah, maybe do.
The whole show's like, maybe like participate, maybe like be present in you, like be someone like Jerry. Don't be Jerry, but like actually like he engages with the people. He might be the worst, but he engages with people in his life in a way that's like at least possibly healthy. Everyone else is a fucking monster or an idiot. And like that kind of discourse around that episode, I think, was endemic of like the show's problem. Like the show's problem.
So season 3. Thank you for jumping the gun. Season 3.
Fuck your structure, bitch.
Season 3 was like post season 2 finale. People were like fucking fanging for a season 3.
Yeah.
And like I was excited in this sense that it was like let's, like, oh cool, season's over. They've
like a real plot
basically
to it.
confirmed a new season.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it in the same way where I'm looking forward to being ruined by like new BoJack seasons. When is new BoJack? Isn't it
September
July?
14th. Just got
September?
announced
Okay, cool.
today.
That'll be soon.
It's really soon. I'm not ready.
And so it's sort of like a base level excitement where it's like, cool, more Rick and Morty,
Like, I'll
sure.
watch it. It'll be great.
Then the first episode came out,
The internet lost their fucking mind.
and like, oh, also, yeah, we're acknowledging Szechuan sauce in this episode.
Yeah.
I forgot that happened. Actually,
Yeah, it's kind of
So Pickle Rick was season 2. No, it had to have. Wait,
Pickle Rick season 3.
really?
Yeah.
So okay,
so season 3 is about Jerry and Beth's divorce, and Pickle Rick happens
it's
during the
counseling
after the divorce.
Because the Szechuan sauce wars,
Episode 1, season 3.
but the McDonald's thing.
That
was like a month or two later because Pickle Rick had happened when that happened.
Well, no, because they
brought Szechuan sauce back, it was like a month after episode 1
Yeah,
dropped.
but episode 1 came out several months before the
early.
season.
Yeah, actually,
because they dropped it on April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
or whenever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
it's a weird timeline that
weird,
happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so Szechuan sauce happened, and it's like that kind of got memed into oblivion. And like at that point, I was like, this is fine. Like
The show's still solid.
yeah, it was like that was a crazy first episode. It had bloody Mr. Firefly Boy.
Nathan Fillion, he was great in it.
He was really interesting. Like they basically ended it with just a meme.
And they
really ham-fisted it. Like they were going in on this dumb Szechuan sauce meme.
Well, but the thing is,
like the whole the only reason I'm doing this is for Szechuan sauce.
But the thing is, they totally didn't. Like people completely retroactively misinterpreted that.
Retroactively misinterpreted.
Like so,
is that just another word for don't fucking understand?
But in hindsight, they didn't get it. Okay, so in an episode of Harmontown,
they retroactively misunderstood it.
In an episode of Harmontown, right after like people got crazy about the Szechuan sauce and they tried to like yell at McDonald's employees, Dan Harmon was like, "Yeah, that was just like a throwaway line that someone in the writers' room like put in the script, and we were going to change it later, and we just never changed it."
Right.
And it was like an obscure reference that I think only Justin Roiland and someone else understood, and they were like, "It's fine, no one's going to get it."
It's like an in-joke.
Yeah, they won't know. Like they were like, "We just need Rick to say something stupid."
But like people attached to it as not just Rick saying something stupid because it's a throwaway line, but like it being the important part.
Because the bit there is that it's actually not important what the reason is. The fact that he's pretending to be interested in this thing is the distraction he's using to escape.
Yeah.
The point of it isn't the thing itself, but people got so attached to that surface level, like the source, they lost their fucking minds. They went Burko, and they were like, yes, I will maybe nearly kill an employee.
It's like, now I
McDonald's
want the
employee.
source for just no reason
It's
apart
fucking
from
so dumb.
So...
God. Just like, fuck.
So I think this is... So, I mean, the rest of the season 3 came and went. Pickle Rick happened. After that, not much. It was just a season.
I thought it was just pretty solid, yeah.
Yeah, like the season was fine. Like Pickle Rick was like episode 4.
That Mad Max episode was dope.
Oh yeah, that was really
cool
good.
ideas. In the
like season, I think episode 3 or 4 was the Pickle Rick one. So
I think
like,
it was 4, yeah.
They got the shit out of the system fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And then they just had it was just like
solid
more
TV.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
But man, the show is just hot garbage now. Like even going back, it's like it's hard to rewatch these episodes
without seeing
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, the internet's kind of ruined the show.
And I mean, it's a really like dumb perspective to have. Where it's
Well,
like I don't like this show because other people made it bad for me.
But it's hard not to. Like it really is. Like when you rewatch it, like it's hard not to like when he becomes a pickle, you go. But like it's actually like a really cool, interesting episode, and like it's gregarious in all the right ways to be making the point that it's trying to make. But when you watch it, all you fucking think about is how much all these nerds loved Pickle Rick. And literally, like happened.
There's a Pickle Rick pop vinyl.
There's pop vinyls of everything. Doesn't surprise me.
I'd like to take this moment to say that they made a pop vinyl of the dead princess Diana. Because
that seems tasteful.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like that.
Not endorsed.
Wow.
They made it of the entire royal family, not endorsed, and they also made one of Diana.
To be fair,
and it's like,
can I get a Jesus pop vinyl? Because you know he did.
Can I get the Jesus of Nazareth?
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say was
There's 2 colors: there's white Jesus and Arab Jesus.
Well, no, they should have one of every race.
One of every
depending
race.
on where you are.
White Jesus, Korean Jesus.
Yeah,
Black
it's all
Jesus.
of them. Whichever
Jesuses.
one. Yeah, I want Japanese Jesus. I fuck with him.
Would there be a Japanese Jesus?
Oh, big time.
Is there a big
Have you not
Christian...
been to churches in like any country ever?
I've never been to Japan.
Yeah, there's
Is there a big Christian community in Japan?
There's big Christian communities everywhere, dog. They took over the world. They colonized the world. No, the point I was going to make was we were at a party just when season 3 was coming out, and I was saying before the party, I was like, I can't remember the context of what we were talking about, but I was like, yeah, people going to talk about this stuff. It was someone's birthday.
Like new. It was I'm not gonna say a name, but it was like a big birthday.
Yeah, it was a big birthday for someone
at a fairly chic place, and someone was wearing. I don't know if they were wearing.
Wait, are we referring to the same party? I don't think we are.
I was thinking of a certain person's new boyfriend.
We played pool. No, I'm thinking of something else. Oh yeah, that was And
certain person.
Well, and he said out loud,
said
Pickle Rick, and I nearly fucking died. Like, in normal conversation, like, we were having a conversation about Nick Robinson getting, quote-unquote, fired from Polygon. And I was like, I get that what he did was bad, but, like, no one's actually saying what he did was wrong. They're just saying it was unprofessional, yet they fired him anyway. It seems like that overcorrection is part of, like, the natural discourse with this, like, progress that we're having. And then it came up that, like, he was a video game, and we were talking about that stuff, and it somehow came up that we were talking about Rick and Morty, and I was like, yeah, I just don't get the fan base. And this dude, like, literally out loud in a public place with other people around said Pickle Rick. They nearly died. I was like, you've ruined this for me. I can't fucking talk about it in public. If I say Rick and Morty in public, someone's gonna be Pickle Rick. It's fuck off.
Well,
I'm incensed by that.
So like 12 months on. 12 months? It's been a while since season 3.
It's been
probably about 6 to 12 months.
Could be longer. Who the fuck knows?
So we've come to this point in time now where Pickle Rick, fuck me. Mm-hmm. Rick and Morty, it's gone past the natural peak of it just being released. Yeah. They're gonna do a season 4 at some point. Fuck me.
Yeah, they are.
Didn't they confirm like 500 more episodes or something?
No, I mean Harmon's basically confirmed that once they get it to syndication, he's gonna stop writing it and shut it down. 100 episodes.
Okay.
Just for the money.
Right.
He said that. He's like, I just need that paycheck. I don't know what you guys are doing, but 100 episodes were out.
Sweet. So we're sort of in this lull, and now it's like Rick and Morty as a show is like synonymous with like 2 things, like pseudo-intellectual dickheads.
Yep.
And then just people ragging on the show nonstop.
Yeah, I've noticed that. The criticism of it because of...
Yeah, like and because of its existence.
That's interesting, though, when you think about the cultural landscape we're in with TV, where, like, only... Oh, this is going to sound really bad, but, like, only people that have, like, critical thinking when they watch TV, like, actually, only people who analyze stuff watch The Big Bang Theory and go, oh, this is awful for culture and the world. But everyone else in normal life, every other person you meet, every other human that you just have that you work with, they all think Big Bang is really funny and they don't see why it's problematic, right? Because they're not thinking about it.
Right.
Rick and Morty has the problem of it's now got this reputation as being this bunch of fucked up nerds who don't know how to socialize or interact with other humans, just espousing nonsense at the internet, hoping for a reaction.
Yeah.
That's what this show is. But that's not what the show's about. Like, they've like, taken it and made it into something else.
And there's sort of a weird problem where, and I sort of thought about this when Wisecrack did an episode on Rick and Morty like a month ago. I was like, and my first reaction was just like, why are you still doing a video on Rick and Morty? Like they're not in the zeitgeist anymore.
Yeah.
But they did episodes right when Rick and Morty season 3 dropped because we fucking did episodes when it dropped.
Yeah.
Like we were just fucking fanging for that money.
It's cool. I don't know how much money you think we made.
Fanging for the views.
Yeah. That'll be nice about BoJack coming out. We're gonna get Spike again.
We're gonna get
people come to
those BoJack vids.
Hey, if you're listening to this and you come to us just for BoJack, I appreciate you.
Appreciate the love. Yeah,
because I know it's a lot of you. Just the analytics tell me it's most of you.
BoJack, Bo Burnham.
The subscriptions in our podcast feed are like this number. These are regular listeners. Bo Burnham, BoJack. That's like the stack of how that goes.
We love you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
But it's so like when the show came out, like it made sense to do content like I'm talking about Wisecrack here because I think they're really interesting. So when the show came out, they did what they did. They took it, they did a philosophy episode on it, which fit well reasonably because the show's kind of about that. They kind of just said what was fairly standard analysis about.
But nice that someone can explain it to the nerds who.
Package it in a way that's easy to digest and maybe throw in a few memes.
I like their presentation style. So fun.
Yeah. And when they did a video more recently, and I watched it, it was very much like the same kind of thing. It was just like more philosophy. I don't really know why they made it. But I think
Jared just really likes.
I think there was a reason, but I forget why. It was a while ago. Yeah. But it sort of created this thing where like that video existing in such a neutral space where they're not praising the show to the ends of the earth. They're not like memeing all over it, screaming Pickle Rick and punching McDonald's employees.
They're just actually talking about it.
And at the same time, they're not like ridiculing it as the fall of culture and Western society like some other people do.
Yeah.
But because of its existence, it almost validates the existence of those extremes.
Oh yeah, I see.
Because you have this thing where, because it's so neutral and easy to consume, and it's not their fault that it's easy to consume. Like that's
just make
their
really
point.
Good stuff.
It means that it's really easy to chew on it, digest it, and then spew your bullshit, regardless, like whatever side it is.
That's interesting.
So it's easy to go into the video and then throw it up on Reddit on your favorite Rick and Morty fan page, subreddit, and everyone go, "Oh, look, this is so cool! Look how smart this show is! Look how deep and meaningful Rick and Morty is." And in the same vein, someone can take it, throw it on their like hate forum, and be like, "Look at these dickheads thinking that Rick and Morty has meaning. What fucking pseudo-intellectual bullshit is this?"
That's kind of an interesting...
And it's because it exists in that middle space, and this goes for pretty much any analysis of Rick and Morty nowadays. It can be taken and digested by both sides, and because it has, because any analysis of the show has to have some sort of, it has to look into the fact that, like, yes, the show does have messages at points. That in itself just feeds both these camps of people who like want Rick and Morty to validate
they're looking for a reason
to validate their existence.
But that's like that,
and then the people who also want Rick and Morty to also kind of validate their existence, but in a more negative light.
I'd never thought about it like that. That is so interesting. Yeah.
And in the same way, that's exactly what this video,
that's
podcast
what we
is doing.
do. That's what our podcast is.
We just kind of sit in the
central
middle.
analysis, and we actually talk about stuff, and we have discourse.
But it's in the past, like, 30 minutes, we've shit on Rick and Morty and its fan base, but we've also sung its praises.
Which is a complicated...
And that's exactly what these videos that kind of... They don't really flip-flop as much as we have, but they sort of take a line of, let's just analyze it in a very cold and then package it in a nice way,
but not
analytical way.
I think... So what you're saying is, and I kind of agree with you, I think one of the things that when you're making content like that and when you're discussing stuff, discourse has to exist in context. It's all good and well to say, like, in this point, like, you know, this thing in a vacuum is this.
Yeah.
But I think Rick and Morty's an interesting show because you have to talk about the context because of what the context has created. Like, you can't ignore how complicated the fan base is and how, you know, divisive the show is. And, like, they have this huge alt-right following of the show. And Dan Harmon's like, how did that happen? Like, he's like, you know, it's like kids who like, you know, cool, funny cartoons, adults who are like quite intelligent and like are able to kind of pick through and enjoy the show for like on its different layers. And then it's just like this big clump of alt-right people who really like it. And he's like, how did we get fucking Nazis? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So it's just a scale thing. Like, it's just so big now that that's like inevitable with anything. You're always gonna, you know, especially a show like that where it's so like the surface level makes you feel smart. It does not surprise me.
Even sort of the layers beneath it can make you feel smart.
Yeah.
But at least those layers beneath, they don't make you feel smart because, I understood that reference. They kind of, there's a bit more to it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more to it. Not enough for it to be like groundbreaking literature.
It's not BoJack. Like,
BoJack isn't even groundbreaking literature, but it's like
season 1 kind of
gets that. But it's like, you know, this isn't something that, you know, in a philosophy course you're going to be watching for, you know, you're going to be reading literature.
Yeah.
But it's like there's enough of it there that it kind of, you know, those people who feed off that kind of pseudo-intellectual bullshit kind of like, I'm smart because I've worked it out. I've read some guy's name I can't pronounce. Ayn Rand. Let's go with that one.
Okay.
I can pronounce
not much
Ayn
relation to Rick and Morty, but that's okay.
But it's like, and then you have this other group of people who are like just feeding off the fact that they kind of get smug enjoyment out of those other people enjoying it. You see that? So
yeah,
there's kind of parallels to this and some other groups on the internet, which, look, I subscribe to a few of them, but so there's some people on the internet who are just kind of notorious for being horrible. So people like DSP Phil, shout outs to anyone who knows him. People like Wings of Redemption. There's like these people who, for some reason, just keep doing things that it's just like, you should just get off the internet. But
they just take a month off.
Yeah, but they kind of just stick around and they just keep making mistakes. And people just get immense enjoyment out of watching these people just flail around.
To be fair,
I do as well. I think it's hilarious sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny until it starts hurting other people.
Oh, I mean, at a certain point, you're like, I'm gonna detach from it.
Like we've seen with like some of the big YouTubers, like there's a threshold there.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, you're actually hurting people.
Yeah, well, like most of this stuff is usually just like self-inflicted or just they're just kind of, you know, just dumb. And you're just kind of watching their stupidity. And anyway, it's sort of like that kind of thing where like there's a group of people who, you know, legitimately enjoy a thing for whatever reason. Maybe they find some enjoyment from it. But then
I like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, and then there's a group of people who, and that group is usually bigger because it's easier to be in that group.
And also easier to be in that group and be silent because you go, I watch my TV. I'm gonna go walk my dog now, and forget about it.
It's easier. Well, it's easier to be in the group that hates something because you don't actually have to engage with the thing. It's a very easy way of being
cynical.
Cynical.
So easy. This like the point you're making. I love that. I love that because I think. You know, and we transit, like we started in that camp of like, I think with everything, when we started this podcast, like it was very easy for us to be like, that's not good for these reasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the hardest things for us over the course of like, we've watched and listened to and read, you know, played so many like
stuff
across the course of the life cycle of this podcast that like, I think we went from the easy thing as being cynical and you could do that forever. And like, you see that with like, what's his face? That the Yahtzee guy, the zero punctuation fella.
Zero punctuation.
His thing is kind of
nostalgia critic.
There's a whole range of people that are like
Angry Joe.
Yeah, it's a whole thing where it's
very
like,
easy to just
to be
hate
cynical
a thing
and go and hate everything because it's not as good as it could be. And I think for us, it's taken us a long time to get to the point now where like we genuinely can just enjoy, like, I think as well, because part of what we do is analyze stuff. It is hard to enjoy things. But now, like, we can be like, hey, I actually really fucking like that. Even though it was not great, I had a balling time. Like, Solo.
Oh, Solo is like currently like the most middling film, like in sort of like review spaces and things like that. Yeah. But it's like, look back on our episode, and it's just like, we just kind of enjoyed it.
we enjoyed it for what it was.
It's really weird.
That's kind of like, that's like a fun thing to be able to do. But it takes like, there's like, not to like, I'm not talking about us specifically, but like it takes like a level of you have to wear it on the chin when you're actually earnest about liking something. And I think it's, as you're saying, it's so easy to be like part of the mass that goes, yeah, I like Rick and Morty, but season 3 is doo-doo, no good.
Or it's so easy to just be like, Rick and Morty, fuck that show. All their fans are fucking idiots.
But they still watch it, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people...
Because everyone watches it, yeah. If you have kids, you know what Rick and Morty is.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting to me that that's a place that we've arrived in culture where the discourse can only be, like, controlled by people who are being cynical. Like, there's no room for, like, this earnest... I enjoyed something. And if you do, people, like, scream at you why you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, people who like The Last Jedi, people like, you should go fucking kill yourself. It's the worst thing to happen to Star Wars. Like, what are you talking about? They like the one with the swords and the space wizards.
The next thing to hit that, it's probably already hit it, but I just haven't paid attention, is Fortnite. Like, that's running through the trench of popularity.
I think it might just be big enough that, because it's free, that might never happen.
No, it'll happen eventually.
Okay.
Like, same thing happened to League of Legends.
I've been frustrated.
People just kind of started shitting on people who played League of Legends just because it was that big game that everyone's playing.
Fortnite is like the biggest game of all time. So I don't know.
Yeah, League of Legends was the biggest game of all time.
Yeah, well, that's because that's how that works over time. The next one is going to be the biggest because that's how.
Oh, it gets bigger.
Records work,
right.
Ben.
Well, I mean, it can be like the currently biggest.
Yeah, but like you can play Fortnite on a fucking potato. Like it's on your iPhone, it's on your Android, it's on every whatnot device. It's probably on my fridge. Like you know what I mean.
Smart
Like
fridge.
It's probably.
Skyrim is on Alexa.
That's very funny, and apparently it's quite good. But no, like to me, that's interesting that we've reached that point in discourse where it's like, yeah, you're either like cynically being like, that's no good, or you have to struggle against this army of people just screeching, you know, hate and death threats at you, and a very small portion willing to actually have a conversation. And I agree that I struggle to rewatch Rick and Morty because all I can think about is what everyone else thinks about it.
Yeah.
What
will all the popular kids at school think of me watching Rick and Morty?
They'll think it's fine because everyone watches Rick and Morty.
Everyone's just too busy playing Fortnite.
Yeah, they're too busy playing Fortnite on the cell phone. But no, I think that's probably a good place to end. But if you've got any recommendations, I know you don't because you never prepare for this segment.
Look, we just moved in. We have no internet. Okay. I can't do anything.
Okay, Mr. Defensive.
I wake up. I look at
even
the
when
Smash Brothers subreddit, and then I go to work. That's been my life for the past week.
About as sad as it sounds, folks. Even when you have internet, you don't prepare for the segment. So I don't know why I ask you.
Now I have an excuse.
Yeah, well, temporarily. I've got internet back, but I'm still recovering from the
Still recovering from not having internet. Sorry, don't have anything.
I've been doing nothing but play the Darkest Dungeon DLC.
That's the same recommendations last week, David. You're not allowed to do that.
Oh, I can't do 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
Excuse me. What have I been watching? Oh, I started watching Archer, which I'd never really watched before. I'd seen it on the TV sometimes, but it's on Netflix.
I've powered through a lot of Archer.
Yeah, so I watched a few episodes today.
I got up to Archer Vice and then kind of just stopped watching.
Yeah, I think it's real fun. I like it.
It's a good show. Yeah,
it's
fun.
Very like complicated to try and pay attention to because it's like a lot going on. Like the joke structure is very complicated.
Yeah,
like, you have to be really paying attention to get the punchlines.
Jokes take about like 5 minutes to land in that show,
and there'll be like 2 separate jokes will land back to back, but they wouldn't have worked unless they were back to back.
Like really a joke will start at the start of the episode, and it will take the entire episode to resolve, and then it'll drop.
Really cool.
I like. Feel like okay,
it's really fun. I'm having a good time with it. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been peeping. I've also been rereading the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, because and the first Harry Potter book as homework for writing, but.
David still having homework.
Fucking nerd. I reread a textbook the other day and like,
oh my god,
someone called me and they're like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And I'm like, "Reading my textbook." And they were like, "I forget a cold." Like, is that a
I'm
euphemism
gonna
for
hang
sex?
up right now.
I'm gonna hang up and never call you again, you fucking nerd. But yeah, it's that time of the week. Where can people find us?
Facebook.
At DCMworks, a social.
YouTube.
YouTube.com/DCMworks if you want to see the video for this, if you're an audio listener. If you are a video listener, you'll have noticed the set is nearly finished.
Nearly. Not quite.
Not quite, but it's getting there.
Twitter.
At DCM_works. Twitter is like something that we just use for like announcing content and publishing stuff. So if you want to find out what we're making.
Rampant shit posting.
Well, no, I mean like the DCM works.
Oh, right, okay.
Not our Twitters.
Not our Twitters.
But yeah, like if you just want to see like what we're making, that's the best way to get to it, I think.
Patreon.
Is at Twitter. Patreon.com/DCMworks. Our lowest subscription tier is $3 a month. You get access to over 60 episodes of our Patreon-only podcast, Open to Suggestion, which is a show where we do all kinds of things. Like we did an E3 recap. We have this spooky audiobook series. We've got all kinds of stuff. Road to Infinity War. There's a whole bunch of stuff there you can check out.
Solid bamboozle, good fun times.
It's a good one, and you can chuck it into. You can get the RSS feed, chuck it into your podcast app, and listen to it on the go if you want, which is great. I also posted a few behind the scenes videos of how we make some content that you can find there as well. And then we're actually about to record a pilot for a potential new show right after this. So if you want to check out that pilot, you can do.
Laura's in it. Say hi, Laura.
Nailed it.
She's been there the whole time.
Gotcha, bitch. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. The only other thing I was gonna mention is if you are listening to this podcast, you can technically buy my book right now. It's technically out. It's not launched yet, but it is out. It's on
Amazon.
It's on Amazon. It's on iBooks.
Goodreads. Is that a thing?
Goodreads is a review site.
Okay. Is it on Goodreads?
It's on Goodreads. But if you want to buy it, you can now at maynardtrigg.com. Don't speak over my fucking read, you son of a bitch.
You want to read that URL again?
No, you want to go?
maynardtrigg.com. How do you spell that?
maynardtrigg.com. It's linked in the show notes, and there is a promo code down there. AFA Pod gets you 15% off your total order. So,
that's a good spicy 15% off.
And it ships worldwide. You can buy the ebook or the paperback on that site right now, and we're going to add the audiobook when it's finished, which will be in the next month or so.
Yeah,
should be pretty exciting. And that'll be on the audiobook is going to go on what's the audible.com? It'll go on that one.
We don't have a promo, but audible.com.
But it'll go on to Audible
/
and iTunes and all the places that you would get it. So look forward to that. But yeah, if you want to buy the book, you can. It's not technically launched, but it's out because we went, they just did it a week early. So it's all out. So you can buy that if you want. There's
super secret early access.
We'll put out a trailer for it on the feed at some point. But
books in early access.
Yeah, books. It kind of is though, because we weren't ready for. And we just got the email from Amazon, and they were like, "It's out," and I'm like, "It's not though." And they were like, "It is." So yeah, you can get to that if you want. It's something that I have spent the last 2 years of my life working on with Aaron, and it's something that I'm like the most proud of that I've ever made, even though we've made this for longer. This show is no good and the book is very good. So I think get amongst the book.
Oh shit. Okay.
I had to give it some spice.
Right,
I thought,
sure,
give
whatever.
It some, like, sizzle.
I see how it is.
But if you want a discount code, AFA Pod, all in caps, will get you 15% off your total order. Just use that at the checkout. And yeah, I think that's it. If you're a Patreon, there's a post going up tomorrow telling you how to get your signed copy, so don't order it until that comes out.
And you'll get a book and a signed copy.
Or get two. Give one to your nan.
One.
Yeah.
Frame the signed copy. It's going to be worth a lot more in 20 years, maybe.
It's a thick copy that you're going to have to, like a thick frame that you're going to have to try and...
You can get like those vacuum seal frames.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. But yeah, or alternatively, if you want to follow us individually, I'm at DCMI Hate Pie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
We'll see you guys next week.